Imagine a civilization so incredibly powerful that its kings stood toe-to-toe as absolute equals with the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. We're talking about a sprawling empire stretching across ancient Anatolia and Syria, boasting colossal walls and massive monuments dedicated to hundreds of gods. And then it completely disappeared, just wiped from history.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this right here is the ultimate archaeological mystery. We are talking about an entire empire hiding right beneath the Anatolian dirt. For over 3,000 years, the world had absolutely no idea where this city stood, who its kings were, or what they had actually achieved. Just consider the sheer mind-boggling totality of this erasure. Its people disappeared, its language forgotten, its history completely erased. It was as if one of humanity's absolute greatest civilizations had never even existed. It was just swallowed by the earth, sleeping beneath the wind-swept hills of modern-day Turkey for 3 whole millennia.
Section 1. Fortress of 1,000 Gods. Eventually, history demanded to be rediscovered, and that brings us to the physical unearthing of this massive, rugged capital perfectly nestled in the strategic peninsula of ancient Anatolia. Welcome to Hattusa. Now, if you were walking up to this city at its absolute peak, you'd realize the Hittites were master engineers. They used the rocky, rugged natural terrain to build an impenetrable fortress. And their gates? Well, they weren't just doors. They were heavy political statements. Step 1. You'd pass the Lion Gate with these massive stone lions projecting raw kingship and power. Step 2. The King's Gate, featuring a carved divine protector that linked their military might directly to the gods. And Step 3. The Sphinx Gate, guarded by powerful sphinxes. Now that's a brilliant indicator that Hattusa wasn't isolated at all. They were engaging in deep cultural exchange with faraway places like Egypt.
Section 2. The Great Clay Archive.
Because as impressive as these colossal stone ruins are, the true treasure of Hattusa wasn't made of stone. It was the accidental preservation of an entire civilization's memory in mud. So the crucial point is this staggering number, 30,000. Back in the early 20th century, a German archaeologist named Hugo Winkler began systematic excavations, and he unearthed over 30,000 clay tablet fragments. Just imagine entire library shelves filled with clay records, preserving centuries of government documents. These tablets were covered in cuneiform. Basically, this was a highly specialized writing system where an elite class of scribes pressed wedge-shaped marks into wet clay. Because most everyday people couldn't read or write, these scribes essentially held the empire together. They recorded everything, from religious myths to intense legal disputes to royal decrees. And because clay actually survives incredibly well when it's buried in the dirt, well, these scribes accidentally froze their empire in time for us to find. Now, scholars could recognize the cuneiform script from Mesopotamia, sure, but when they finally decoded the language itself, it delivered a massive wait, what moment to the linguistic world. The language of the Hittites turned out to be an incredibly ancient Indo-European language. That means it sits in the exact same broad linguistic family as Greek, Latin, Sanskrit, and yes, even the English I'm speaking to you right now. It completely shocked scholars and literally rewrote what we knew about the deep history of human language.
Section 3. The First Peace Treaty. Those clay tablets didn't just hold linguistic secrets. They held massive political ones. They proved that the Bronze Age was absolutely not a bunch of isolated primitive pockets. It was a highly connected, fiercely competitive global network. Take the famous Battle of Kadesh around 1274 BCE. This was a dramatic clash in Syria between 2 absolute ancient heavyweights, the legendary pharaoh Ramesses II of Egypt and King Muwatalli II of the Hittite Empire. They threw thousands of chariots at each other in one of the largest chariot battles in human history. But here's the really fascinating part. Neither superpower could achieve total victory. It was just a brutal, grinding stalemate.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when 2 superpowers realize they actually can't destroy each other. They negotiate. This military stalemate led directly to what is widely considered one of the world's oldest surviving international peace treaties. We're talking about mutual recognition, alliance obligations, extradition arrangements for political refugees. These are incredibly modern diplomatic concepts just sitting there in clay from over 3,000 years ago.
Section 4. The Ancient Indian Connection. If you think a Bronze Age peace treaty is mind-bending, wait until we look at another clue hidden in these archives. It's a mystery that connects this Western Asian empire to ancient India. Let's look at the Mitanni mystery. As researchers dug through diplomatic texts, they found correspondence with a neighboring kingdom called Mitanni. At its height, Mitanni was a major player, controlling strategic trade routes right between Egypt, Assyria, and the Hittites. But as scholars translated texts regarding this specific kingdom, they found something that absolutely stunned both historians and linguists.
In a treaty involving Mitanni rulers, the text calls upon very specific divine witnesses: Mitra, Varuna, Indra, Nasatya. Now, if you know early Indo-Aryan religious traditions, your jaw is probably on the floor right now. These are names deeply tied to the Vedic tradition, typically associated with ancient India. Yet here they are, invoked in a Bronze Age treaty, thousands of kilometers away in Western Asia. Now, it's important to be objective here. This doesn't mean ancient India ruled Anatolia, but it definitively proves that Indo-Aryan cultural and linguistic elements were present among the elite ruling class of the Mitanni.
And you know what? The connections get even more specific. The archives preserved a highly sophisticated horse training manual written by a Mitanni master trainer named Kikuli. This wasn't just some basic guide. It was advanced military science. It detailed precise training schedules, rest periods, feeding strategies, and exercise routines to build the ultimate chariot horses. Think of these horses as the tanks of the Bronze Age.
But what makes Kikuli's manual truly famous is the language she used for his training cycles. The linguistic terms he used for 1, 3, 5, and 7 strongly resemble Indo-Aryan numerical forms. It is concrete written evidence that deeply specialized cultural and linguistic elements traveled vast, vast distances across the ancient world. This beautiful blending of cultures is visible all over the Hittite realm, famously known as the Land of 1,000 Gods, because, well, they kind of just adopted the deities of everyone they met. Just outside Hattusa is the rock sanctuary of Yasalukaya, where divine processions are carved directly into the natural stone. Scholars are actually still debating today, was this just a simple sacred sanctuary, or did the arrangement of these gods function as an advanced cosmic astronomical calendar? The debates are still raging, which really highlights just how much we still have to learn from them.
Section 5, the Bronze Age collapse.
Sadly, every golden age comes to an end, and we have to build to a dramatic, catastrophic climax. Around 1200 BCE, this incredible, globally interconnected diplomatic and economic system suddenly and violently unraveled. This was a system-wide collapse of the known world. It wasn't just one thing either. It was an interconnected cascade of dominoes falling. Climate stress and severe drought ravaged agriculture. The economic breakdown of long-distance trade literally starved the cities. Warfare and massive population movements, like the mysterious Sea Peoples, caused absolute chaos, and internal political instability shattered central authority. The Hittite Empire was completely, totally overwhelmed. And just like that, the city that rivaled Egypt fell silent. Its temples were abandoned, the magnificent walls crumbled. The city physically merged back with the rugged landscape, and the archives we just explored went to sleep in the dirt for 3,000 years. It brings our mystery full circle.
Let's move to and see how this builds to our ultimate takeaway today. Civilizations do not exist alone. They are threads in a larger human tapestry. Hattusa proves that ancient peoples were deeply, intricately linked long before modern globalization. I mean, they traded, they signed treaties, they married, and they shared language and gods across completely impossible distances. Which leaves us with a final, rather provocative thought. If a highly connected, intensely globalized Bronze Age superpower with impenetrable walls and sophisticated diplomacy can simply vanish into the dirt, how fragile is our world today? I really want you to question history. What do you think about the Mitanni mystery and those incredible Indo-Aryan linguistic connections found in the Middle East? Share your perspectives in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning history.